Sammy has always been an awesome kid since she was little. Unfortunately, even before she got sick, she was forced to grow up really fast. So our family is very complicated. So her sister, well, I'm a brain tumor survivor, 15 years. My husband had cancer and her sister was born with a physical disability. So from a very young age, she kind of took on that responsibility of feeling like she had to take care of everyone. And when she got sick, she just kind of took that mentality of, you know, okay, this is what I've got, but you guys have had stuff too, and we all got through it. So I'm just gonna do the best I can to kind of fight it and get better. And she always kept a positive spirit, and even in the hospital, the child life people always used to use her to help the other kids that didn't want to come down to the playroom and kind of cheer people up. And she's always kind of been that bubbly, you know, happy person. So she's always a joy, and she's like my best friend. So.
I'm Samantha Pires, otherwise known as Sammy. I go to Southwold Public School. I'm in grade 6 and I'm 11 years old.
So Sammy was, I spent 6 months from January 2016 until July trying to convince doctors that something was wrong with her. And they kept telling me she had migraines, and then it was, you guys moved to the country, it's seasonal allergies, like there was constant excuses. It wasn't until we finally got her in to see a neurologist. He spent not even 5 minutes with her and called London for an emergency MRI. She had it that night, and we were told the next day she had a massive brain tumor in her cerebellum that had completely flattened her cerebellum and was compressing her brainstem. So surgery was urgent. So at that point, she was really sick. Like, she was vomiting all the time with massive headaches. So they put her on steroids for a while to reduce the swelling. And 5 days later, she had surgery, which was 18 hours. Scariest 18 hours of my life. I sang her to sleep in the operating room, and that was the hardest thing I ever did. Collapsed when I walked out, and then wiped my tears off and went to my other one who was also scared. But I think the biggest fight that Sammy had, I mean, after she had her brain tumor out and she was in intensive care, she had massive brain swelling the next day. So she spent 5 days on a ventilator, and we were really afraid she wasn't going to make it out. And like I said, she was partially paralyzed after it. And so that for her was enough of a battle on its own. But she ended up having nosebleeds. She had a feeding tube for 3 weeks because her sodium levels were in the toilet, and they said that she would vomit if they made her drink the sodium, so they were putting it down the feeding tube. And when they took it out, she started having nosebleeds, and I said, something's not right. And they're like, it's dry in the hospital, it's fine. And you know, it kept continuing. It was only out of the one side of her nose on the left side, which is where she had her surgery, and she lost sensation in her face. And her neurosurgeon agreed, like, something's not right. They referred her to an ENT in London, and we fought with them for a long time that something was seriously wrong. And you know, they blamed Sammy. They kept saying, no, she's a nose picker, there's nothing wrong with her, unless she wants to sew your nose shut, we're not going to do anything. And it wasn't until her pediatrician in Oakville by Family Day, so February 2017, said to us, you know what, this has gone on long enough. She had massive crusting up her face. She'd already had one massive allergic reaction to antibiotics. So he sent us to Sick Kids Hospital, and they took one look at her and said, this is not normal. And they brought in a plastics team and an ENT team, and they discovered that she had had an allergic reaction to the tube. And then from that, because it had, I guess, attached to the skin and then pulled the skin away, like when they had removed it, it had become affected. So that infection had actually eaten a hole through her lining septum and cartilage of her nose and spread to the other side of her face, and the bacteria is actually eating her. So she ended up having a month of IV drugs in the hospital. She got SERM sickness. She's had a total of 11 operations on her nose. And those things were all physical that people could see. So her brain tumor, when she came back, yes, she was swollen, but then she was, you know, her hair was down, and people didn't really realize that she, you know, had surgery. But then when she had this nose problem, she had black crusting up her face, she had bandages on her nose, and she became very self-conscious of what people were saying around her. It was really, really hard on her. And I think every time we thought we had nicked it, it came back. So that's why we've been through 11 procedures at Sick Kids. And then last year she had a nerve graft at Sick Kids. She had 6 nerve grafts at Sick Kids Hospital with ophthalmology and plastics. And she was the first in the world where they ever did her tongue and her teeth to restore sensation. And it's been successful, so they're really thrilled. But again, that was a really hard surgery for her. She was all cut up. She couldn't eat for, you know, 6 weeks. And so she's had a really rough road. Not just the brain tumor, but everything that came after that, you know, you don't expect those extra complications. And she's been nothing but positive and a trooper through the whole thing. So we're really, really proud of her. Yeah. But, you know, she just has that attitude of, okay, it might take baby steps and maybe it's going to take a while, but somehow we're going to get there. And I think that's what's helped her come as far as she could through this challenge. So, yeah.
Since my previous diagnosis from my brain tumor, I was always like scared and self-conscious and anxious a lot more than I was before. Got scared easily from like nothing. And the first time me and my family went on a cruise, I felt safe. Cruises are like my safe place because you're on the ocean. No one there judges you. They don't know who you are and they don't know what you've been through, so they treat you as like a normal person, but it's also really calming. And cruises are just my safe place and they make me really happy, and I just love them because it's like a great experience. Plus I have my family there. I wanted to go to Mexico really bad because when I was in school one day, we were doing social studies and we were learning about like the Mexican ruins, and I found them really cool and I asked to go to Mexico to see the ruins. So we're going on a cruise that stops in 2 places in Mexico, which means that I might be able to see the ruins there, which would be really fun.
We are excited. Yeah, it's been a rough 2 years, so it's going to be nice for Sammy to just be able to be an 11-year-old kid. And that's what we're looking forward to, that she's not going to feel judged. She's not going to feel like she has to tell anyone what she went through. She's just going to be able to be a kid. She's always been an adventurer by spirit. So, you know, the fact that she's going to be able to go and see the Mayan ruins, which is something she's always wanted to do, is going to be fabulous.